And there I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. Jeff in Venice, Meghan in... Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. It probably will not have escaped your notice that Amazon chief Jeff Bezos got married in Venice with his bride, Lauren Sanchez, now Lauren Sanchez Bezos. It was a 3-day affair, and much money was spent. After all, he's a very wealthy man, one of the world's richest men, and he can spend it as he likes. There were protests, of course, with regard to him dodging tax or suggesting that he's not paying his fair due. But ultimately, it was quite the affair, which has been covered in the media. But what is interesting is that, naturally, there was quite an extensive guest list, and that was covered by various media outlets, including The Telegraph. Let's just have a quick mosey through some of those guests to find out who was in attendance. Well, first up was Oprah Winfrey. She was seen leaving the Gritti Palace Hotel for the next instalment of wedding festivities on Saturday evening. She was followed close behind by, yes, Gayle King, hitherto loyal lieutenant to this one's wife. It was also the case that Orlando Bloom was seen, who, wasn't he friends with this one's wife and Harry? Usher and his wife, Jennifer Gocoechea, were seen as they strolled the streets of Venice. And it was the case that Kim Kardashian was there, and Kylie Jenner was also in attendance, and Kris Jenner was in attendance, and Khloe Kardashian was there, and Ellie Goulding, and model Brooks Nader, and the Queen of Jordan, Queen Rania of Jordan, Ivanka Trump was there. All of these individuals. It was also the case that fashion designer Sarah Staudinger and super US agent Ari Emanuel were in attendance. Former British Vogue editor-in-chief Edward Enninful was also among the guests. Leonardo DiCaprio was there. Vittoria Serretti was also in attendance. Isn't that interesting? That these were just some of the guests, but many of the individuals come in effect from the world of this one's wife, or perhaps put more accurately, the world that she wants to be her world. Individuals who hitherto were rather pally with this one's wife, or, perhaps more accurately, utilised her for their own purposes, or saw what she was like and decided to distance themselves. It says something, doesn't it, if the Kardashians are invited to the wedding and you are not. This one's wife, in her world, would believe that that is the type of wedding that she ought to be invited to. After all, in her deluded mind, she believes that she is somebody that has the right to and fraternizes with the likes of Edward Enninful, with Oprah Winfrey, and Ari Emanuel, amongst others. And yet, she wasn't invited. It may well be the case that the WME agency has ditched her. After all, we hear very little about that these days. But it is rather entertaining, isn't it, to see that so many people from the world that she believes that she belongs to were invited. Furthermore, if you have somebody like all of the Kardashian clan there and you're not invited, believing yourself to be amongst that grouping, it really does demonstrate how low your stock has fallen. There was royalty there, the Queen of Jordan, but no place for the royalty of Prince Harry and his used pleasure appliance wife. Oh no, they weren't included, they weren't invited. Perhaps somewhere the Sussexes spun that they were invited, but they were busy. After all, Harry had a meaningless speech to make in New York, and this one's wife needed to be seen holding up apricots to an apricot tree to pretend that she was plucking a ripe one. After all, the magic apricot tree would be far more important. The best that this one's wife could muster up, by way of response, was to, yes, you've guessed it, go to Instagram. And as you can see in the thumbnail, she posted a picture of herself on the beach. So on the one hand, you have Jeff in Venice with his wife Lauren Sanchez at an exuberant wedding that had the media's attention, which had a plethora of famous and wealthy guests from all different aspects of the world of celebrity and showbiz. And this one's wife was NFI'd. An event that a narcissist such as this one's wife would have been crying out to attend. It would have enabled her to stare down the lens of so many cameras, to be seen so that she could then assert control over a worldwide audience by virtue of the attendance. It would validate in her mind her special status to be seen with these individuals. She would have drunk deep of the fuel by way of people's response to her attendance, and it would have allowed her to obtain those character traits by being seen with the likes of Oprah Winfrey, the Kardashians, Orlando Bloom, Edward Enninful, Ari Emanuel, and so forth. Presumably, she'd have been chasing after Leonardo DiCaprio, who would have undoubtedly pulled down his cap and made an exit pretty quick. After all, she's probably about 30 years too old for him. Thus, this one's wife will have been wounded by the fact that she was not involved, and she will have seen the coverage of it, and it will have wounded her again, for she was not involved. First of all, she's wounded because she simply believes that she should be invited to such things, and then it would wound her again because so many people from her universe were in attendance and she was not. Therefore, her narcissism compels her to nullify this threat to control. So what does it do? Well, it wasn't in the mood to have her select some PR puff piece. She wasn't able to give some impromptu speech to the orphanage for unwanted ginger children or saving the blind gay whale. Instead, all that she could do, demonstrating her increasing reliance upon this as a conduit to get to the prime aims and her diminished ability to use other outlets, was to pop down to the beach and wear an oversized shirt and then have her picture taken by somebody and pop it on Instagram. This will have prompted responses from her supporters, which will have provided her with some fuel. And in effect, this necessity is driven out of the need to nullify the threat to control posed by the fact that Bezos and his wife were getting all of the attention in Venice and she wasn't invited to the event. It will have hurt because she believes she should be at these things. But once again, her narcissism rides to her rescue, causing her to dismiss the event and causing her to then put up her own picture by way of trying to draw attention onto her. But that's the best that she can muster up, and it's rather indicative of her failing powers in that regard. That whilst the great and the good of the entertainment world at least were in Venice, enjoying the champagne and the razzmatazz of the Bezos-Sanchez wedding, this one's wife wandered around on her own with a photographer in tow on a beach, getting a picture taken of her wearing wrinkled clothing, her hair all over the place, and for once not being barefoot, although you would think a beach would be a place that she would be barefoot. Desperation writ large once again, for this is the best that this one's wife can come up with, because she really has fallen so low. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.